In the rush of daily life, where words are spoken freely and thoughts are shared without much contemplation, we often overlook the incredible power that lies in silence. Silence is not just an absence of sound, it is a space of clarity, a moment of introspection that can lead to profound wisdom. We are constantly surrounded by noise, from the external world and from our own minds. Yet true power comes not from what we say, but from what we choose to keep within. The power of silence is more than just holding back words. It's about understanding when to speak, when to listen, and when to keep your thoughts close to your chest. This is not a silence born from fear or insecurity, but one rooted in wisdom and self-discipline. To master silence is to master your own mind, and in doing so, to unlock a potential that few ever fully grasp. Words have energy. They carry weight. Every word spoken has the potential to either uplift or destroy, to build or to break. However, we often forget the importance of choosing our words carefully. We think that by speaking our minds we are somehow demonstrating strength, but in reality it is often the quiet ones, the ones who control their words and their thoughts, who hold the most power. Silence, when wielded intentionally, can protect you from unnecessary harm, preserve your energy, and even amplify the strength of your message when the time is right. There is a time to speak, but there is also a time to remain silent and let your actions do the talking. The world is filled with noise, opinions, distractions, and judgments. We live in an age where everyone feels entitled to share their thoughts at every moment. Social media, news outlets, and even casual conversations bombard us with an endless stream of words, many of them trivial or negative. In this sea of noise, finding the ability to remain quiet is a rare and valuable skill. Silence in such a world becomes an act of courage. It is the courage to not give in to the pressure to constantly perform or to seek validation from others. Silence is not weakness. It is a conscious decision to protect your mental and emotional space, to shield your goals and dreams from the prying eyes and skeptical minds of those who might not understand or support your vision. Most people have no idea how much power they waste by speaking freely. Every word that leaves your lips is an expression of your thoughts and emotions. When you share everything with others, you not only expose your vulnerabilities, but also give others the chance to shape your reality with their opinions. This can dilute your focus, derail your progress, and even lead you away from your true purpose. There is a fine line between sharing your journey with trusted individuals and broadcasting your every move for public consumption. If you constantly seek approval from others or try to justify your decisions, you will never fully realize your potential. The less you share, the more you protect your inner peace and clarity. In many ancient teachings, silence is regarded as a spiritual discipline. It is not merely the act of holding back words, but of stilling the mind, creating space for deeper insight and understanding. Silence allows us to hear our own thoughts more clearly, to tap into the wisdom that resides within us. When we silence the external noise, we can connect with the deeper, more intuitive part of ourselves that guides us towards our highest potential. It is in silence that we can listen to our inner voice, that quiet, steady whisper that tells us what is truly important. This voice is drowned out when we speak too much or listen to the opinions of others too frequently. Mastering silence is an act of self-discipline. It requires us to resist the temptation to share every thought that crosses our mind, to hold back from seeking validation or approval at every turn. It requires patience and control, but in return, it offers clarity and power. The more we cultivate the ability to be silent when needed, the more we allow our true thoughts and intentions to flourish in peace. We begin to realize that we do not need to explain ourselves to everyone, nor do we need to seek validation at every step of our journey. Silence becomes a tool of empowerment, a shield against negativity, and a channel for deeper personal growth. The first secret to mastering the art of silence is understanding the true value of keeping your plans to yourself. The world is filled with well-meaning but often uninformed advice, and when you reveal your goals too early, you risk subjecting them to the scrutiny of others. There is a deep power in having your vision unfold privately, without external distractions or negative influences. Sharing your goals before they are fully formed or before you've taken concrete steps toward them opens them up to doubt, criticism, and unwanted interference. People, no matter how well-intentioned, may project their fears or limitations onto your ideas, which can diminish your own belief in their potential. By keeping your plans to yourself, you maintain full control over your vision and ensure that no one can dampen your enthusiasm or shake your confidence before you've even begun. When we talk about our goals before we've laid the proper foundation, we often make the mistake of thinking that external validation will fuel our progress. The truth is, the more you discuss your plans with others, the more you risk allowing their doubts and negativity to seep into your mindset. People who haven't walked the same path or shared your vision may not be able to see things through your eyes. Their reaction, whether positive or negative, can unknowingly affect your momentum. The reality is, sharing your plans too soon often opens the door to distraction. Others may give unsolicited advice or raise doubts that didn't exist before, leading you to second-guess yourself. Your dreams, when fresh and in the early stages, need to be nurtured and protected. They are like seeds that require care, patience, and time to grow strong enough to withstand the external elements. When you share them prematurely, you expose them to forces that can weaken their chances of blossoming into their full potential. The temptation to seek validation and approval from others is natural, but it often leads to disappointment. People's reactions are based on their own experiences, perspectives, and limitations, and their response to your goals may not align with the support or encouragement you need. By holding back from sharing your plans, you give yourself the space to fully develop them without the risk of being swayed by the opinions of others. There is power in walking your journey with a quiet confidence, knowing that your plans are yours to shape and create, free from the influence of those who may not understand your unique vision. The more you focus on taking action rather than talking about your plans, the more momentum you build and the closer you come to seeing your dreams come to life. Silence also serves as a form of protection for your energy and creativity. Often, when we share our goals too early, we become vulnerable to the opinions of others. Some might react with skepticism, others might give advice that diverts us from our path, and still others might become envious or jealous of what we're trying to achieve. These external forces can drain your energy, distract you from your purpose, and cause you to question your worth or the validity of your ideas. By keeping your plans to yourself, you create a bubble of protection around your dreams. You allow them to grow in peace without interference or judgment from the outside world. You retain the power to shape them according to your own values, priorities, and vision without the pressure to conform to the expectations of others. As your plans begin to take shape and gain strength, there will come a time when it is appropriate to share them. But that time is only after you've built a solid foundation, taken deliberate action, and proven to yourself that your vision is worth pursuing. The key is not to rush the process. There is wisdom in allowing your goals to evolve naturally, without external distractions. When the time comes to share them, you'll do so with confidence, knowing that your vision has been fully realized and is ready to withstand the scrutiny of others. Until that point, your silence serves as a powerful tool for preserving your energy, nurturing your creativity, and protecting your dreams. By keeping your plans to yourself, you empower yourself to move forward with clarity, focus, and an unwavering belief in your potential. The second secret to mastering silence is understanding the profound impact of sharing your struggles too soon. Every person faces difficulties on their journey, but not all struggles need to be broadcasted to the world. When you are going through a challenging time, it is natural to seek support or understanding from others. However, prematurely revealing your struggles can have unintended consequences. People's reactions to your challenges, though often well-meaning, may not always provide the support you're hoping for. Instead, sharing your hardships too early can sometimes invite sympathy, pity, or unsolicited advice that does little to help you find your way through the difficulty. It can make you feel vulnerable in ways that distract from your inner strength and resilience. Your struggles are yours to overcome, and how you navigate them shapes the person you are becoming. There is great power in quietly working through your difficulties, using them as opportunities for growth, without seeking validation or attention from others. The danger of sharing your struggles is that it can invite negativity and drain your energy. When you express vulnerability, you may receive sympathy or pity, which can sometimes leave you feeling disempowered instead of empowered. While empathy and support from others are essential in some circumstances, not every struggle needs to be aired in public. When you share your difficulties too early, you risk inviting other people's doubts, fears, and projections into your reality. These can become obstacles that take away from your ability to stay focused on the solutions. By keeping your struggles private, you give yourself the space to process them fully, learn from them, and grow stronger in the face of adversity. The quiet strength that comes from handling your challenges in solitude is a form of self-respect, an acknowledgement that you are capable of overcoming whatever comes your way. Additionally, by not constantly discussing your struggles, you prevent yourself from reinforcing a negative narrative. It's easy to get caught in a cycle of complaining or focusing solely on the obstacles you face. The more you talk about your challenges, the more they occupy your mind and energy. This can cause you to fixate on the negative aspects of a situation, preventing you from seeing the opportunities that lie within it. When you choose to remain silent about your struggles, you allow your focus to shift toward finding solutions. Silence enables you to redirect your energy away from talking about your problems and toward taking action. In silence, you can reflect on your next steps, strengthen your resolve, and find clarity in the midst of chaos. Moreover, silence about your struggles allows you to maintain control over your emotional state. When you share your difficulties with others, you might unintentionally invite their energy into your life. Their responses can influence your emotional state, either lifting you up or pulling you down. This can create an emotional roller coaster, where one moment you feel encouraged and the next you feel disheartened. By keeping your struggles to yourself, you retain emotional sovereignty. You decide how to feel, how to respond, and how to move forward. Your struggles are an opportunity to cultivate emotional resilience. By processing them quietly, you build a deeper understanding of your own emotions and reactions, which in turn strengthens your ability to face future challenges with greater emotional intelligence. By choosing silence in the face of struggle, you empower yourself to take control of your journey, build resilience, and emerge stronger and more capable. The most powerful growth happens not in the moments of external validation, but in the quiet moments of personal reflection and action. By not sharing your struggles prematurely, you retain your power, maintain emotional control, and allow your inner strength to shine through. This approach not only helps you navigate life's challenges more effectively, but also sets the stage for true transformation and success. The third secret to mastering silence lies in how we handle and present our personal failures. Failure, while a natural part of life, can become a powerful force for growth when we approach it quietly and with introspection. Most people are quick to share their failures with others, often seeking sympathy or reassurance. However, when we focus too much on our failures or express them too openly, we risk reinforcing a negative self-image or giving others the power to define us by our setbacks. Failure, in its essence, is not something to be ashamed of. Rather, it is a teacher that offers us valuable lessons about resilience, perseverance, and growth. The key is to not allow failure to become the central narrative of your life. When you speak about your failures too much, you may inadvertently turn them into your identity, when in reality they are simply moments in time, not the entirety of who you are. By keeping your failures to yourself, you maintain control over your narrative. Every person experiences setbacks, but not everyone allows those setbacks to define them. Failure does not make you weak, it makes you human. However, how you respond to failure determines your true strength. When you share your failures excessively, you open the door for others to judge, criticize, or pity you. These external reactions can sometimes magnify your sense of defeat and pull you further away from your goals. When you keep your failures private, you grant yourself the freedom to learn from them without the external pressure of others' opinions. You create space to reflect on what went wrong, identify lessons, and make adjustments without the added burden of public scrutiny. This introspection and self-awareness are what allow you to evolve and move forward stronger than before. Furthermore, silence around your personal failures protects your self-esteem and confidence. Often when we talk about our failures, we risk inviting self-doubt into our lives. Sharing these moments with others can make us feel vulnerable, which in turn can lower our sense of worth. People might respond with pity or disappointment, which only amplifies the negative emotions surrounding the failure. However, when you keep your struggles and setbacks private, you have the opportunity to process them in a healthy way. Instead of seeking validation or reassurance from others, you can turn inward and reaffirm your belief in your ability to overcome the challenge. Silence gives you the chance to rebuild your self-esteem and rediscover the confidence needed to rise from the ashes of failure. Additionally, the act of quietly learning from failure encourages a deeper level of self-reliance and growth. When we share our failures too readily, we often seek external guidance or approval, hoping to find someone who will tell us how to move forward. However, real growth comes from within. Silence allows us the time and space to analyze our mistakes without the distractions of others' opinions. It is in this solitude that we can uncover the true lessons that failure teaches us. Whether it's perseverance, resilience, or the realization that we need to change our approach, the wisdom gained from failure is more valuable when discovered through personal reflection. By keeping your failures to yourself, you take full responsibility for your own growth, which is a critical component of success. Another significant aspect of keeping your failures private is the power it gives you in reclaiming your future. Failure can be a temporary setback or a permanent defeat, depending on how you choose to view it. If you constantly talk about your failures, you risk reinforcing a mindset of defeat. However, by remaining silent and focusing on the future, you shift your attention away from past mistakes and toward the possibilities ahead. Every failure carries with it the seed of a greater opportunity, but only if we choose to move forward. When you share your failures too much, you risk getting stuck in a cycle of self-pity or regret. But silence allows you to focus on the lessons, the growth, and the next step. Rather than being held back by what didn't go right, silence gives you the freedom to let go of the past and propel yourself toward new opportunities and successes. Ultimately, keeping your failures to yourself is not about hiding from your mistakes or pretending they don't exist. It is about protecting your ability to learn, grow, and rebuild from those moments of adversity. Failure is a natural part of life, but it should never define you. When you keep your setbacks private, you retain the power to reshape your story, refocus on your goals, and move forward with strength and resilience. Failure does not need to be shared to be valuable. It is in the quiet moments of reflection that the true lessons are revealed. By mastering silence in the face of failure, you unlock the ability to transform every setback into an opportunity for growth and success. The fourth secret to mastering silence involves the important practice of not sharing your dreams with dream killers. While it is essential to surround ourselves with supportive and positive individuals, there are always people who, for various reasons, will try to dampen our dreams or dissuade us from pursuing what we are passionate about. These dream killers often act out of their own fears, insecurities, or misconceptions about what is possible. They may criticize your ambitions, point out the obstacles you might face, or tell you that your dreams are unrealistic. The problem with sharing your dreams with these individuals is that their words can plant seeds of doubt in your mind. Even if they don't intend to harm, their perspective, rooted in their own limitations, can cause you to question your vision and abilities. By sharing your dreams with those who do not believe in them, you risk allowing their negativity to overshadow your confidence and dampen your drive. When you share your dreams with people who are not aligned with your vision, you expose yourself to the risk of their criticism and skepticism. Sometimes the people we trust the most may not understand the scope of our ambitions or the reasons behind our dreams. They may project their own fears and limitations onto you, warning you about the challenges you might face. While this might be done out of concern, the result can be paralyzing doubt. Rather than offering support or encouragement, these dream killers can become barriers that prevent you from fully committing to your goals. Keeping your dreams to yourself allows you to guard your vision from these external influences. It gives you the space to nurture your dreams in peace and allows you to work on them without the burden of other people's negativity. Furthermore, sharing your dreams with dream killers can delay your progress and waste valuable time. When you open up about your aspirations to someone who doesn't understand or support them, you may find yourself in long discussions about the potential roadblocks, the what-ifs, and all the reasons why your dream may not be feasible. This often leads to a prolonged mental battle where you start questioning your abilities and second-guessing the choices you've made. Dream killers thrive on pointing out the obstacles rather than encouraging solutions. The more time you spend defending your dream or trying to justify it to people who don't believe in it, the more energy you lose. Instead of using that energy to take action and move closer to your goals, you end up getting caught in a cycle of self-doubt and overthinking. Silence in this situation is powerful because it allows you to stay focused on what matters, your dream. Rather than spending time explaining yourself to others, you can devote that time and energy to working toward your vision. Additionally, sharing your dreams with the wrong people can make you vulnerable to judgment and rejection. Every person has a different perspective, and when your dreams are exposed to individuals who are not supportive, you risk facing criticism or discouragement. This can lead to feelings of rejection and self-doubt, especially if the dream killers are people you care about or respect. The more personal the dream, the deeper the impact their reaction may have on your confidence. Keeping your dreams to yourself allows you to protect your emotional well-being and shield yourself from hurtful or dismissive remarks. It also gives you the freedom to grow without the fear of being judged. You can remain true to your path without having to seek approval or face the risk of others undermining your aspirations. When you remain silent about your dreams, you also keep your energy focused on nurturing and refining them. Dreams, especially big ones, require time and energy to develop into reality. When you speak about them too soon, you can often become distracted by the reactions of others. People who do not understand or support your vision may attempt to sway you, either directly or indirectly, into believing that your dreams are unrealistic or unworthy. This can divert your attention away from the crucial work of turning those dreams into tangible results. Silence allows you to direct all of your energy toward the practical steps needed to achieve your goals. It helps you stay focused and undistracted, enabling you to transform your dreams into concrete realities without interference or unnecessary doubt. Keeping your dreams to yourself is not about hiding or being secretive. It's about protecting their purity and allowing them to evolve without the influence of others. Not every dream needs to be shared with the world, especially in the early stages when you're still figuring out how to bring it to life. By remaining silent, you give your dreams the time and space they need to grow and mature. This approach empowers you to keep your vision intact, without allowing external negativity to erode your passion and determination. When you share your dreams with the right people at the right time, those who believe in you and encourage you, they can become a powerful source of motivation. But until then, silence allows you to cultivate your dreams on your terms, ensuring that they grow into something strong and unstoppable. When you tell others about the help you've given, the people you've supported, or the sacrifices you've made, you unconsciously shift the focus from the act itself to your role in it. This changes the nature of your giving. What was once a selfless act can easily become a tool for validation or praise, but the most impactful acts are the ones no one knows about. The quiet moments where you help someone rise without telling a soul are the moments that define your true character. You don't need a spotlight to make a difference. Every silent act of compassion sends out a ripple into the world, and though no one may see it, it leaves a lasting imprint. The world doesn't need more people seeking recognition. It needs more people doing good because it's the right thing to do. Keeping your kindness quiet allows you to be that kind of person. Another danger of speaking too much about your good deeds is the pride that can quietly take root in your heart. Pride disguises itself well. It can make you feel powerful, needed, or superior because of what you've done for others. But pride is a silent thief. It takes the beauty out of your giving and turns it into a subtle competition of who is more generous, who has helped more, who deserves more admiration. That is not true virtue. The most powerful kindness is that which is given in secret, when no one is watching, and when there is no expectation of reward. When you stay silent about your good deeds, you guard yourself against this dangerous pride. You remain grounded. You understand that your purpose in helping others is not to elevate yourself, but to uplift someone else. Moreover, talking about your good deeds too often can create a transactional mindset in your relationships. Others may begin to see your kindness as something you do to build credit, not something you do out of love or compassion. They may feel indebted, uncomfortable, or even manipulated. Your intention may have been pure, but repeated mention of your generosity can make others question your motives. Silence, therefore, becomes a gift not only to yourself, but to those you serve. It creates a space of trust, where your actions speak for themselves and where others can receive your help without feeling like they owe you something in return. True kindness requires no audience and no applause. It lives in the quiet moments, in the unseen sacrifices, and in the love that expects nothing. In the end, the acts of good you perform in silence carry more weight than anything spoken out loud. They shape your character, build your soul, and echo in the hearts of those you've helped far longer than words ever could. Your reward isn't in the recognition, it's in knowing that you made a difference even if no one ever knew. That is the deepest kind of fulfillment. When you give quietly, serve humbly, and love silently, you live in alignment with the highest principles of humanity. And that silence, noble, sacred, and unshakable, is louder than any praise this world can give. Silence, when mastered, becomes more than just the absence of words. It becomes a form of power. A person who knows how to remain silent, especially in the face of provocation or pressure, holds an invisible strength. The world is filled with noise, with people constantly talking, defending, explaining, and justifying. In the midst of all this, the one who chooses silence stands apart. This silence is not weakness, it is wisdom. It reflects discipline, maturity, and self-control. When you are silent, you are not reacting. You are observing, understanding, and conserving your energy. You are not wasting words on people who may not listen. And you are not feeding situations that don't deserve your attention. You begin to realize that not everything needs a response. Sometimes the most powerful message is conveyed in the stillness of your restraint. There is a unique clarity that comes from silence. When you are not busy speaking or trying to prove a point, you can see situations more clearly. You become more aware of your own thoughts and the intentions of others. People reveal who they are, not when you're speaking, but when you are quiet and listening. Through silence, you gain insight into their character, their values, and their truth. It allows you to think before you act, to weigh your words before you speak. In this space, you are not driven by emotion, but by understanding. You do not need to rush to defend yourself, because your sense of self is no longer tied to the approval or opinions of others. You begin to operate from a place of inner stability, and that is a rare and powerful quality. Finally, silence protects your energy. Words carry energy, and speaking too much, especially about things that don't deserve your focus, drains you. You begin to realize that some conversations are distractions, and some responses are traps. The more you engage, the more you invest your power into things that don't serve your growth. Silence, however, helps you conserve your strength. It allows you to remain centered in environments that are chaotic or negative. It becomes a strategy, a way to rise above unnecessary conflict and stay focused on what truly matters. In a world that constantly demands a reaction, silence is your rebellion. It's your decision to choose peace over drama, wisdom over impulse, and growth over noise. Through silence, you do not lose your voice, you refine it. You learn that your energy, your words, and your presence are too valuable to be given away carelessly. The 7th section speaks to a truth often overlooked. Never tell anyone the full extent of your plans before they are executed. Premature disclosure of your strategies, especially your most detailed or carefully crafted ones, can dilute their impact. When you share everything too early, you risk inviting opinions, criticisms, and distractions that can cloud your focus. Even if the intentions of others are not malicious, their input can alter your original vision or cause you to second-guess yourself. Plans are fragile when they are still forming. They need time to develop strength, to be tested privately in your mind and in practice. Speaking too soon exposes them before they are ready, and what could have been a powerful move becomes just another discussion point, dissected and diminished by outside influence. Keeping your plans to yourself also creates an element of unpredictability, which can be an advantage. When others don't know your next move, they cannot interfere, imitate, or obstruct it. Silence in planning is a form of protection, like keeping your strategy concealed until the moment it matters. This is not about secrecy for the sake of deception, but about preserving the energy and clarity needed to follow through with conviction. Every great builder, creator, or leader knows that the planning stage is sacred. It is the quiet before the impact. Once you begin executing and producing results, your actions will speak for you. But until then, your silence is your shield against confusion and misdirection. The eighth truth you should never share with others is the depth of your personal struggles. While vulnerability can be powerful when used with discernment, not everyone deserves access to your most painful experiences. Sharing your deepest struggles with the wrong people can lead to judgment, misunderstanding, or even manipulation. Some may use your pain against you, while others may offer hollow sympathy that only deepens your sense of isolation. More dangerously, there are those who secretly take comfort in your suffering, people who feel validated or superior when others are in pain. When you expose your emotional wounds without caution, you risk opening yourself to these subtle forms of harm. Silence becomes a form of protection, not because you're ashamed of your struggles, but because you're choosing to heal without unnecessary interference. Keeping your personal hardships to yourself also allows you to retain your inner dignity. There is strength in walking through darkness silently, not because you are alone, but because you are choosing to carry your pain with grace. The world does not need to know every detail of what you've endured. Sometimes, the most courageous thing you can do is to bear the weight quietly, to let your growth and resilience speak instead. Pain, when processed in silence, becomes a source of private power. You begin to transform not through attention, but through inner resolve. You start to build an unshakable foundation within yourself, one that does not require validation or recognition. You begin to realize that your story is not a tool for pity, but a well of wisdom that will one day guide you and others, if shared at the right time with the right purpose. Moreover, when you are silent about your struggles, you give yourself space to process them without external noise. Everyone has an opinion, a solution, or a comment, but not all of them are helpful. Too many voices can confuse your healing process. When you hold your struggles within, you learn to rely on your own intuition, your own inner strength. You begin to trust yourself more, and in that trust, you grow stronger. Healing does not always need an audience. Sometimes it just needs time, stillness, and the courage to walk through the fire without announcing every step. What matters most is not that the world knows what you endured, but that you came through it, wiser and more resilient than ever. The ninth thing that should be guarded in silence is your family issues or private matters within your home. No matter how difficult or complex they may be, airing out personal conflicts with those outside your inner circle often leads to misunderstanding, misjudgment, or even disrespect. People on the outside will never see the full picture. They might take sides, twist your words, or use what you shared for their own agenda. What starts as a moment of venting can become a source of long-term damage. Once something personal is spoken aloud, it cannot be taken back. Opinions are formed, reputations are affected, and relationships can suffer unnecessarily. Silence here is not about hiding the truth, but about respecting the sanctity of your personal space. Your family, your relationships, your home, these are sacred. They deserve privacy, not public commentary. Every household faces challenges. There are disagreements, mistakes, and struggles behind every closed door. But maturity lies in knowing that these things are not meant for everyone's ears. When you expose your private life to outsiders, you give them the power to interfere, to judge, or even to divide. They don't live with the consequences of their words. You do, and the more you speak, the more vulnerable your foundation becomes. In silence, you allow room for growth, for resolution, for healing without the pressure of outside opinion. Issues that are managed quietly, with honesty and patience, often find more stable resolutions than those dragged into the spotlight. Silence preserves dignity. It keeps love intact through the storm, and it protects the bonds that matter most from the erosion of gossip and scrutiny. Furthermore, keeping your private matters private is a reflection of loyalty and respect, not just toward others, but toward yourself. You are honoring the idea that not everything is for public consumption. You are choosing to carry your role with integrity. Silence here doesn't mean avoidance. It means choosing the right time, the right people, and the right reasons before speaking. You may seek guidance when necessary, but even then, with discretion. When you are trusted with someone's privacy, you must protect it, and the same applies to your own life. The peace and strength that come from preserving what is sacred cannot be overstated. In a world that thrives on exposure, choosing silence about your inner life is an act of strength, wisdom, and deep self-respect. The 10th thing you must never reveal to others is the full extent of your financial situation. Whether it is abundance or lack, money by its nature attracts attention, and that attention is not always positive. When people know too much about your wealth, you become a target for envy, manipulation, and false relationships. Those who see your financial success may begin to treat you differently, not because of who you are, but because of what they believe they can gain from you. The moment your bank balance becomes common knowledge, so do the expectations. People may feel entitled to your generosity, or worse, try to exploit your resources under the guise of friendship or need. The safest wealth is the one kept quiet, not hidden out of fear, but protected out of wisdom. On the other hand, revealing your financial hardships can also expose you to unnecessary judgment or pity. People may start to question your choices, doubt your capabilities, or define you by your current circumstances. Worse still, they may spread your situation as gossip, turning your temporary challenge into a permanent label in the minds of others. Silence here is not about shame, it is about control. You control your narrative when you keep your finances private. You choose who gets to know and why. Your financial journey is personal, and its lessons are for you, not for the world to dissect or define. What matters is how you manage your resources, how you grow from your setbacks, and how you build your future, not the opinions of those watching from the outside. The final thing you should never tell anyone is your next move, your upcoming decision, shift, or breakthrough. In a world where people watch more than they support, your silence becomes your greatest ally. Every time you speak of your next step too soon, you expose it to energies that may not align with your vision. Not everyone is rooting for your progress. Some listen only to find flaws. Others pretend to support while secretly hoping you stumble. The more you reveal, the more you allow interference, doubt, or subtle sabotage to creep into your path. There's a certain power in moving in silence, quietly, purposefully, without seeking permission or praise. When your actions speak before your words, the results carry more weight. You surprise the world not with talk, but with transformation. Keeping your next move private is also an act of protection for your focus. Every goal demands energy, clarity, and unshakable commitment. When you talk about what you're about to do, you split that energy. You invite opinions, you start to explain, and often you begin to question your own direction. But when you move in silence, your energy stays pure. You are not distracted by approval or opposition. You are guided only by purpose. Silence allows you to stay sharp, to adapt quickly, and to execute with precision. It keeps you from being boxed in by others' expectations. You're not confined by their timelines, their doubts, or their ideas of what's possible. You move at your own rhythm, and that rhythm leads to true momentum. In the end, your success speaks louder than any announcement ever could. The world doesn't need to know what you're planning. Let them see the results when it's done. Let your growth be the answer to every question they didn't ask. Let your transformation be the proof of every step they never saw. The more you work in silence, the more powerful your impact becomes. You're not chasing recognition. You're building something unshakable. And when it finally arrives, it won't need an introduction. It will speak for itself. So guard your next move. Let it rise in the dark, protected by purpose and sharpened by discipline. Then, when the time is right, let it shine without a single word. That is how the strongest shifts happen, not in noise but in quiet, deliberate power,